There's a lot of information circulating about Assassin's Creed Valhalla. In fact, there's simply too much. A lot of it is also worth talking about, so I thought instead of making videos on when this information drops, it would be easier to wait until a lot of it has come in and then make a little roundup video talking about all the little bits and pieces that we've learned that are interesting, of course. Some of it I genuinely don't care about, and then give my thoughts on them as we go. Of course, I'll leave a link to all my sources of information down in the description, where you can check everything out for yourself. Anyway, there's a lot of information for us to talk about, so let's get cracking. First, I want to talk about how Assassin's Creed Valhalla will apparently not feature grinding. The main story apparently does not require playing side quests to be completed, essentially meaning that things locked behind progression walls won't necessarily be a problem. I suppose this is a response to the complaints about Assassin's Creed Odyssey being far too grindy, and honestly, who can argue with that? Sure, they don't necessarily have to drop the leveling curve altogether, but I'd rather feel compelled to do side content than forced to. Apparently navigation puzzles are back, and now when they say navigation puzzles, I presume they mean the sort of tomb puzzles that you got in Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood and Revelations, or in certain parts of Origins, which is most likely, but I thought it was worth mentioning. I do like a good brain test, something that requires you to think as opposed to just go from objective to objective, if you will. I find this kind of gameplay more engaging. Furthermore, apparently these puzzles will unravel really intriguing truths. I wonder what these are, but I am always fascinated to find out that these puzzles help unravel something of a mystery, and I always like a good mystery. It's something that Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Brotherhood, Revelations, and Origins did really well. There's mysteries of some kind in all of these games, and those are some of my favourite parts of them. I like puzzles and mysteries provided they feel rewarding, so provided Ubisoft get that right, then everything should be swell. Apparently the Hidden Blade will be lethal enough to regularly pull off instant kills as well. Now, I don't know what that means. I guess there will be some forms of upgrades and things that you can provide to unlock the instant kill or whatever, but I feel like for the most part the Hidden Blade will be returning to its instant kill thing, because in the end of the day, as cool as it is that they decide to provide a challenge and they don't want you to escape that, having a Hidden Blade that does an instant kill does hinder stealth a lot, and also if you stab someone in the throat, they typically die. The game will also apparently feature a tool wheel. I'd imagine this means it will be quick access, so you can press a button and hold it down and then you can select your tools from there. Hopefully this extends to giving you some seamless agency over which weapons you choose. I feel social stealth being back is something that we've already discussed. Viking culture apparently encourages stealth. Since Norse people weren't necessarily wanted in these lands, blending in with crowds as a means to go undetected is perhaps a necessary way to avoid standing out while in densely populated areas. Apparently stealth-wise you can also feign death, which basically means you can play dead. Also, though I can't confirm anyone reporting on this, I have heard rumours that you will be able to use environmental stealth as well. I don't know how legit those rumours are, I just thought it was worth mentioning. Now, the return of social stealth is a million steps in the right direction, we all know that. It really does seem like this game wants to recapture some of the old Assassin's Creed elements that used to define the franchise. Furthermore, I've heard enough to believe that they're trying to get the best of both the old formula and the newer formula, and if anything at all, I can 100% respect that. Ashraf Ismail has explained how the world will be handcrafted in terms of the game's variety. Different regions will have different cultures, different practices and ways of life. This will be reflected in deep storytelling, with locations built to feel unique to avoid being too repetitive. I feel like a more memorable open world is a massive step in the right direction as well for Assassin's Creed. I don't know what else I could say about that besides good. Apparently story arcs are designed to be unique and expansive. They're roughly the size and scope of a TV show episode each. They pushed the Viking narrative in England and apparently begin and end mostly in the settlement. By story arcs, is it like a new take on the sequence system from the old Assassin's Creed games? I'd imagine that's what this means. I guess that's a natural breakdown in the structure which allows for you to take breaks where you need to, and I guess it also helps represent the passing of time in between certain quests, if you will. Furthermore, at the settlement, Eivor can apparently sleep in a bed, sit on seats and benches, check on inhabitants, fish on the docks, and interact with other objects. You can consult your war chief, start romance, hold weddings, house recruits, hunt and fish, and partake in drinking and flighting games. Now, I think miscellaneous interactions with your settlement just because immersion is a very important thing. If you want to feel a part of the world, you need to be a part of the world. Furthermore, when close to waterways, you can call on your ship. It can hold 8 crew members and is customizable. Crew can disembark to help, and recruits to your crew are characters you meet with backstory or customizable Vikings that you can create. I'd personally rather explore the world with characters with backstory, and so I think having a small crew of in-depth characters is more important than, say, having a massive crew of characters who all look the same. Also, apparently Eivor's community/settlement will be more oriented towards the concept of cohabitating than plundering and pillaging, and to that end, mission structure now accounts for a chance of diplomatic resolution, which you can use, I presume, to avoid conflict. Doubt it'll work all the time, it's just a cool feature just the same. Furthermore, apparently NPCs will have their own day and night cycle, so you can choose when to tackle missions. Say during the day your target will be going about their daily business, but at night they'll be sleeping, or maybe they'll be somewhere else entirely. I suppose that'll factor into a lot of assassination type quests especially. Now I like thoughtful gameplay, and this is one subtle way to deliver it. Apparently the HUD can be toggled on and off and affects how easily you're detected. Skill trees will supposedly feature more options for customization and are more than just a selection of skills, and there will be 3 primary archetypes present, presumably similar to Assassin, Hunter and Warrior present in Odyssey and Origins, as gameplay for the most part hasn't changed too much. And that's fine, I just hope it's a bit more grounded and weighty in the sense that Origins was by comparison to Odyssey. Furthermore, Eivor's Raven's name is Sunin, which is also spelt incredibly awkwardly when compared to how it's pronounced. And apparently in Old Norse it roughly means insight. Apparently we can encounter factions, armies and clans in both Norway and England. I love faction conflict as much as the next guy, so we're going to swiftly move on. Apparently, though we're aware of Norway and England's 4 regions as the world map for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, there are more than those that haven't been mentioned just yet, though Ubisoft isn't ready to talk about. When Ubisoft say that they're not ready to talk about something, they tend to never do, so I wouldn't imagine that we'll find out more about that until the game launches. And even then, in the past, they've said similar things about more that they aren't ready to talk about yet, which just is non-existent when the game comes out. Apparently, Assassin's Creed Valhalla's world map will be slightly bigger than Odyssey's, encompassing the entirety of England and a good part of Norway that we know of. I'm slightly cautious with large world maps, especially with Ubisoft, who love to make massive open worlds for the sake of their size, filling them often with nothing in particular. I'm hopeful that the handcrafted variety already mentioned means that the size doesn't necessarily have to be a worrying sign, but I am very cautious when it comes to large open worlds and Ubisoft, because I'm going to be honest, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is one of the most bloated, dead open worlds I've ever seen. However, from the point of view of what Assassin's Creed Valhalla is trying to be, it appears to be addressing those criticisms, so maybe this is them taking another shot at getting the open world right. That being said as well, they can't make it too small, being parts of Norway and the 4 regions of England. That's not a small area. They have to make it a certain size. Either way, the world map size doesn't really matter provided it's full of worthwhile content. On the combat front, apparently the combat is quite brutal, visceral, and not for the faint of heart. The combat is more grounded and weightier. I guess you can't do Vikings without brutal, visceral combat, and being more grounded and weightier is good news, especially considering that means it'll be more akin to what Origins did than Odyssey did, which was just pure insanity. I'd rather the combat feel believable. Furthermore, there are 25 different enemy archetypes, with many minion and elite varieties. Different enemy types will give their players the freedom to find and use strategies as they see fit to defeat them, and I do believe I read somewhere that certain enemies will work together to fight you. So maybe they'll combine attacks and be a bit more tactical, requiring you to utilize tactics, making the combat more thoughtful as well. Hopefully the enemies aren't sponges that soak up damage, but we'll have to wait and see on that front. I'd imagine that they aren't. Moving on, as far as I'm aware, Ubisoft hasn't really touched down on microtransactions, though you supposedly earn every penny that you're going to pay, in the sense that you will get what you pay for when buying the game. I presume this means that there's an in-game means to achieve everything the game has to offer without paying more real money, but I'm not anywhere near naive enough to believe that without seeing it. However, I'm always going to be sold on the concept of a game backseating microtransactions. I don't care if a game has them for the most part, as long as they're not in my face and the game doesn't force me to get them. I suppose we'll see what happens with microtransactions later on, but I suppose it is what it is. Overall, Assassin's Creed Valhalla more and more sounds like a really promising game, with Ashraf Ismail as the creative director, with Darby McDevitt as the narrative director, with Jesper Kidd and Sarah Schachner working on the soundtrack with Einar Selvik, and with 15 studios working on this game, it could really turn out pretty damn good. It's not without worry though, we still haven't seen gameplay and information is literally pouring down on us. We've had a gameplay trailer, but what I mean and what people really want is a gameplay demo, and we'll see that in due time of course, but I think people want their concerns put to bed rapidly, if you get me. Anyway, that concludes today's news roundup. Please let me know what you think about all this information down in the comment section. Obviously there are some details that I skipped out on a lot of information that's been posted up there, as I honestly didn't see it as remotely interesting, and there's likely some stuff out there that I didn't mention because I simply don't know about it myself. This information is all over the place. If that is the case, let me know about it down in the comment section and give your thoughts as well. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and all that wonderful stuff. That would be fantastic, and with any luck I will catch you all very soon with another video at some point, but until then, goodbye.